What's up, guys? This is Alex Protostar here, and I'm showing you today how to make this sort of like growly, Skrillexy sort of bass sound that you hear a lot in dubstep today. So basically, I got this new synth called PX7. I think it is, yeah, PX7. So I got it from Propellerhead and sat down and wanted to sort of try and make a sort of nice growl, try show some people how to, I was just basically sort of sitting down trying to improve my sort of knowledge of bass design and sort of bass engineering and stuff. So sat down, came up with this patch. So I'll just go disable a few things just so I can get the raw sound. So when you start off with it, it just sounds like this. If I bypass this, right, it will sound like this. So it's just a FM synth really. So what you do is you will set the first oscillator to 13 and the rest to 1, and then put the algorithm to 15, put the feedback to 4, and then just whack the levels on everything up, and then you'll get this. You can play with the frequency here, and it changes it quite a bit. I just like 13. And then the same with the feedback. You can mess around with that to get what you want. But then what I did is I took the audio out. Right, let me do this. Yeah, so I took the audio out, put it into a splitter. So this bit here, split one end and put it in the input of Thor, and put the other end into the output. Sorry, what am I saying? Put one in the input and then the other end here up to a mixer on the top. So here, what I'm doing is by splitting this here, is that I'm running this sound in parallel with this sound. So with this running into the Thor, what you want to do is, if you have it set it up like that, and then put the audio output back up to the line mixer, then what you want to go down, you want to reset the device or initialize it by doing that, right-clicking and resetting or initialize device. And then you go to the source here and do audio in 1, which will be down, where is it? Audio input 1. And then for the second one, do input 2, and then put them in their corresponding filter 3 left in, filter 3 right in. Put them both to 100. That just means that the audio in from here will go through the matrix, and it will say to put the audio 1 in through here, and then that will come out of the audio output. So then what I did is I put a formant filter. I kept the drive the same, envelope and everything the same, and I put the gender to 56 and the XY at 4133, and then running them both in parallel gives you this kind of sound. The start of the sound isn't that nice, but it's just that sort of vowely tone that comes after is what you want. So once we got that sound, what I did is I assigned in the control here, I clicked on show programmer here, and I went to PX7 rotary 1, dropped this down, and then selected brightness. And I started playing a note, and I just grabbed this and started whacking it up and down repeatedly, just for a while, just to get a few different varied sounds. Because what I'm going to do now is, once you get a few of those sounds, you bounce it down, and then you just, you clip what you want from it. So this is what it sounded like when I was playing around with it. As you can see, it's moving. So it's not exactly an exact science. I love just messing about with bass sounds now. I don't really use LFOs that much anymore. This is sort of the technique I use if I'm going to make a bass. I'll just mess around with parameters manually and see what comes out, and then I'll bounce it down. So what I did then is I selected this area here, and then I went down here, bounce mixer channels, and then I selected the combinator 1, loop, new tracks on, and I clicked OK, and then it gave me this waveform here. So I muted the first one, and then I'll have this one soloed. So let's move down to here. I will mute all the effects in here, and this is what you get. So So it's just basically an audio version of what you get before. So what I then did is I added some effects like distortion, etc. So I'd say them one by one so I can sort of build it up slowly so you can hear. So the first thing I did was I went through distortion, to see what I liked. So just create a screen for. You don't need to do this yet, but just create a screen for, and move it down to modulate. Put the damage to 14, P1 all the way up, and then P2. I kept it about 62, but I automate it during the sort of noise, and then have the body section on. Keep the scale at 48, auto down, and B-type body. And then having this on it gives you this kind of sound. Sorry, I forgot. Like this, I was going to automate it later to give it a nice sort of vowely sound. So I'll show you in a second. But you hear that sort of growling tone starting to come through now. So what I did then is I ran that through another distortion because I like running multiple distortions that are very low damage, so it doesn't sort of it's more subtle and more gritty that way. So then I put another scream on, and I put it on tape distortion, parameter 1113, so the speed is quite fast and no compression at all. Keep the cut how it is originally and turn the body off, and this is what you get. It's a warmer sound. Okay, and then what I did is I put it through a saturation knob. This is, I think it's free on the Propeller Head website, and just keep it on low and put the saturation to 2.2. And this just, again, fattens it up a bit. Okay, so then I just compressed it as usual, drove the gain a bit up, 5.6 dB, threshold to -20, and the ratio to 2.58. Didn't really mess around with the attack or release or the output gain. This is just a quick thing just to sort of fatten up the sound a tiny bit. It won't really change the sound that much. Threw in an equalizer, cut all the low frequencies at below 30 hertz, and cut the high shelf. What am I saying? Boosted the high by 3.7 dB, just at 6K. So basically, if you want to go more advanced, you could cut the sub frequencies over here so that it doesn't distort them, and then you can add your own sub later. But I just distorted everything in it, and I split the sub after this. So now I put it through a stereo imager. This doesn't actually do that much. I put the frequency split at 570, and the reason I did this is because I put the audio output there into this thing here, which is called a half stereo widener. If you search now, James Bernard half stereo widener, I'll put that on the screen. It will come up with a video on the Propeller Head's YouTube where he gives you an excellent patch which just widens things like massively, and it goes into great detail about what the Haas effect is. So I just love throwing that on quite a lot of bases. So I put that on, put the Haas amount to about 38 and rotary to 52, and then I kept the width of the high end normal and made the bass mono, and I put the separate out all the way up to here. So what this is I just added in a line by 6x2 mixer at the top, and then just took the output of the half stereo widener into there, and then the output of the separate out on the M-class stereo imager and plugged it into there, and then I put the output into the top of the combinator patch here. So then after all that, you'll get a sound like this. And then just for the final touches to make it sound really sort of gritty and animalistic is I sort of modulated this parameter. You could modulate the parameters on quite a lot of things, like you could do damage control as well, maybe resonance, other things with it, but I just love working with audio files now. So I came up with a pattern like this. It just basically goes from up, down, up. So when it goes, whoa, and I did it again there. So this is what it sounds like after. So you see, just modifying that just instantly, makes it massive. I might want to mention that to get that, I just literally found a section that I liked. I listened through. I liked that section, so I just snipped it, dragged it over here, I sort of faded the intros of the sounds in because there was a bit of noise on the front of it I didn't like. And then there you go, you got two little bass stems. And then if you like that, you can bounce it down again, and then you can just start building songs with the actual stems like this. You can just like sort of play around and, you know, have like 4-bar loops and stuff. So I hope that gave you a little bit of insight of how people resample and how they make these kind of growly basses. A lot of it is FM sound. So I might try to make one in Thor because it has got FM sounds, but I've never really managed to attempt it or actually get a sound out of it that sounds like this. So if you did enjoy, I'd appreciate a like, and if you know, share it with some of your producer friends or whatnot. But that's all from me. Thanks and bye.